Welcome to A Mason's Work, the podcast where we review Masonic symbols and illustrate how they can be used to solve problems in everyday life. With your host, Brian Mattox, a proud member of the Craftsman Online Media Network.
So yesterday I said that your feelings are better sort of navigation instruments than your numbers. That your dashboard, the signals your body is sending you all the time and in real time, are what's actually working and more reliable than the kind of roadmap of objectives you wanted to achieve that you drew back in January during your resolution. I want to make that more practical today because I know that trust your feelings sounds like Star Wars and it belongs on a motivational poster with a cat or something. This is actually serious, though. The feelings that you have are really the driving force underneath the MacGuffin that you set up, the goal that you put aside to, gain weight, lose weight, gain muscle, lose muscle, make money, change jobs, whatever. All of those wantings that you had, all those feelings got translated into a goal, and the feeling isn't itself even the destination. We've talked a little bit about this. The emotional content that we're shooting for, the kind of place you want it to go, isn't a destination. It's a filter. It's a way of being in the world. Here's what that means in practice. So let's say you do the work of getting underneath your MacGuffin and you find something you like. Let's say you want more fun in your life, like real fun, whatever it is, the funny stuff, right? The feeling that maybe everything shouldn't be taken so seriously. That's a legit desire. And it's specific enough to work with it, right? The old way of solving that problem would be to try to convert it into a trophy or an object, sign up for something, go take a class, whatever. But here's the thing about fun, right? It isn't like just a destination. It's an experience. So instead of saying, how do I get more fun into my life? You say, will this be funny? Will this present moment that I'm in right now, is there humor in it? Does this decision that I'm making, does this planning that I'm doing, is there fun in it in the moment? And that moves this from a desire that's someday off in the future that you'll have and into the right now. And when you move stuff into the present moment and allow the feelings to modify what you're experiencing, it changes everything it touches. So let's go through that in maybe some other ways, right? Because this translation isn't always the easiest thing to do. Let's say you have this genuine desire to be more authentic, whatever that means. One version of yourself might have been the person, before you heard this series of podcasts, you might have been like, well, I need to go find myself. I need to figure out who I am or what that is. When in fact, the better question is, what's more me right now? When you move these things into the present moment, you gain agency and autonomy right now. It's not conditional. It's not this identity. It's not a virtue signal later on where I've collected the checkboxes and all of a sudden I'm now permitted to feel more authentic, right? You get the results, the benefits, all of it in an instant feedback loop that sitting with your emotions provides. Now, just like in the Star Wars reference that I'm trying to not tell you about, there's an important truth to this, right? You're allowed to take these feelings to inform your decisions and allow them to do so. But if you allow them to govern your actions completely, you lose autonomy. It's in a different way, right? If you're always the victim to what you're feeling in the present moment, you're not in charge. You're just doing whatever feels good. That's poor impulse control. That's a bunch of other stuff that leads to its own set of problems. So when you sit with your sort of emotional content, then you can put on that treasurer's apron, the one that evaluates whether or not the thing you're doing right now is going to help you achieve the objectives that you have long term. And use that treasurer's apron to analyze your emotional content right now. There are times, for example, when you're in the middle of exercising where you're like, I feel like giving up. Well, does indulging that feeling, put on the treasurer's apron, does indulging that feeling get you the objectives that you're looking for? If the answer to that question is no, then you don't get to let that one be the boss for now. Right? Same thing's true throughout the entire range of your emotional experience. And when you start taking on these officer aprons to evaluate the emotional content you have, you begin to develop this capacity to not only feel the emotions that you're having, but you create this analytic distance that lets you drive the entire organism, your entire being towards a meaningful change long term. You move from analyzing and creating these what kind of goals, these objectives, and move into the how of being. You become more yourself. You get more sort of a flowering into the present moment by using your emotions as an instant feedback loop. And tomorrow we'll get even more into kind of what that means and how to work it more effectively.
The views represented in this podcast are those of the speaker alone and are not representative of any grand or subordinate lodge.
Hi, Brian here. I wanted to thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have any suggestions or guidance for further episodes you'd like to see or hear, whatever the case may be, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at masonswork.com, and we will try and incorporate your suggestions into a future recording. Thanks.
Freemasonry teaches us that the true work is within, a lifelong journey of reflection, discipline, and discovery. At A Mason's Work, we help Masons bring out their best selves through meaningful self-inquiry and symbolic practice. From personal reflection to lodge engagement, we offer tools that turn symbols into action. Visit us at amasonswork.com. The work is within. The time is now.